What if, let's go with the operators. Okay, so now what are we done with? We are done with the data types, variables, and all of this. Okay, see, we went through this Java virtual machine syntax, data type. So now let's see, variables are also done. So I'll just show you on how we can write about operators. Now, to understand operators, what are operators? What are operators? Any idea on what are operators? Operators and operand is different. Now, what is an operator? So if I say A plus B, so what is this A plus B is referring for? A is a operand, B is an operand, and plus is referring for a operator. Okay, so how I can say that? A is a operand, B is also operand. Okay, plus is a operator. So how can I say that it is an operator? Plus is an operator, minus, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus. All of these are operators. So anything which is between the operators or something, or anything that is surrounded with this operator is something which is called as a operands. Okay, so this are operands. I think you already know about what is an arithmetic operators, correct? Okay, so what's this? So you require addition operator, subtraction operator, multiplication operator, division operator, and also the modulus operator. Okay, so all of these operators are required to you when you are doing this arithmetic operators. Now let's see on how we can write a code or write the logic for this arithmetic operators. Yeah. Okay. So let me write it here, new class. Okay, so arithmetic operator. Operators. Okay, so how do you write a code for arithmetic operators? So where you need to declare two variables. Okay, so if you don't want to use two variables inside in the class itself, so there is some other class called as scanner class. Okay, where you will be able to enter a particular variables or the values in the console part. Okay, as of now, I'm just taking the variables locally. So int A, let me tell you, int A is 10, and then int B is 5. Okay, so you can write in this two different formats, or else you can say int B1 is equals to 10, comma, then you can directly say B2 is equals to 5. Okay, so these are the two different ways to write it. Now, so I'll be saying system.out.println. I wanted to print the value of A plus B. Now, system.out.println, I'll be saying A minus B. System.out.println, let me say A star B. I mean multiplication. Okay, system.out.println. Okay, so this is how you usually do it. So system.out.println, and then you'll be giving A modulus B. Now, if you wanted to understand what is your expected output, 10 plus 5 will be giving you 15, and 10 minus 5 will be giving you 5. 10 into 5 will be giving you 50, divide by. Okay, now this is how you'll be getting as an output. So the lines that you're able to see in green color is something which is comments, which will be ignored by the Java compiler, which will be ignored by the JVM. Okay, just see what are the values if you're getting. So a plus b, 10 plus 5 is 15, 10 minus 5 is 5, 10 into 5 is 50, and then 10 divided by 5, 5 2 are 10, right? So 2, and then the modular division is nothing but that is a reminder value. Okay, the reminder value that you're getting. Now, let's say if you're using as a small program, that is fine for you. But let's say if you're using some larger programs, okay, when you're in an interview and when you have been into the project and then you wanted to use the particular variables, okay, so you are not supposed to use directly like this. There will be some errors will be popped up, okay. So should not, so to avoid the errors, we always try to store the values in a variables and use the variables directly. Okay, so how do you do that? So C is equals to, let me say, B1 plus B2. Okay, or you can say int B is equals to B1 minus B2. Then int C is equals to, sorry, int E is equals to B1 into B2. F says B1 divided by B2. Int B1 modulus B2. Clear with us? So here, why am I getting error? It is because of the data type. So why am I giving int? Because B1 and B2 values 10 and 5, which are storing, are the values of variables. Now here instead, I can directly use the variables, stating that this is C, okay, and this is D, E, F, G. Okay, still you'll be getting same values. Okay, though the values are same, what is the different thing that you have done is by storing the values into the particular variable and storing the values without using the variable. So these are the two different values that you're getting: 15, 5, 52, 0, 15, 5, 52, 0. This is by storing the values in the variables, and this is by storing this without a variable. Okay, and now not only this, we'll be having some different kind of an operators as well. The logical operators, bitwise operators, ternary operators, and all. Okay, so let me show you the smaller example on what is a ternary operator. Okay, so what's a ternary operator? Ternary operator is something which refers to the question mark. Okay, this is ternary operator. Okay, so we were talking about ternary operator yesterday. So what do you mean by ternary operator and how do we code it? Now we'll be just looking into this ternary operator. Now if when I'm talking about the ternary operator, so this is how it should be. Let's say that I'm giving some values like int 5, okay, and then int b is equals to something like 7. Clear? So I want the minimum value from it. So I'll say int minimum is equals to, so let me give the condition a greater than b. If a is greater than b is the condition, then I'm saying to print a or b. Okay, now whatever the value that you are trying to store, that will be stored in a variable called as minimum variable. So I'll say system.out.println, print the value of minimum. Now, so what happens now when I say a is equals to 5, b is equals to 7? Okay, so 5 less than 7 is true. So what is the value of a? A value is 5. So 5 should be printed here. Okay, but why 7 is getting printed? Any idea on why 7 is getting printed? Because I said 5 greater than 7, right? So a value is 5, 5 which is greater than 7 is false. So when it is false, this is the second condition that need to be printed. If it is true, then this is how it should be printed. Okay, so let me give you something like this. So if you need minimum value, you have to use this. So a is less than b, right? So 5 less than 7. Okay, so 5 less than 7 is true. So when it is true, a value will be printed because which is the first condition, 5 value is printed. If false, then the second condition, b value will be printed. Okay. Now this is of the minimum values. So let's say that I also need the maximum value. So how I can take the maximum value out of it? So what is the maximum value when compared with A and B? So B is a maximum value, right? So now also where you need to understand that the variables, minimum is a variable where it is holding this or the values or the whatever the condition or the expression. Okay. So when minimum is already given, you cannot use the same value again. So rename minimum. So instead of minimum, I'm just making it as maximum value. Okay. So A greater than B. I'm trying to make the condition false. So now when I'm trying to make the condition false, so what is the correct thing here? 5 greater than 7, right? So 5 greater than 7 is false. So A is not printed. B value, which is max value, which is 7, will be printed. Now just observe, you'll be getting this minimum value. See, you're getting 5 and 7. Okay. To understand, you can also make sure that system order println minimum value. Then you can also say this out. Maximum value. Okay, or else you can also say this minimum value plus minimum. Okay, and in the maximum value, you can also give plus max. Now I'm just commenting the statement. So when you're commenting the statements, this will not be executed again. And a Java application. Now just see. So you are able to understand that the minimum value is 5 and the maximum value that is given is 7. Okay, now if I uncomment this, okay, then it says minimum value is 5 and then 5. Maximum value is 7 and then 7 also will be printed. Okay, something like this. This is about ternary operator. Now, we have logical operator. Okay, so how do you write the logical operator? How do you code for the logical operator? Any idea, guys? Okay, so just give me a minute. Now, let's say that I have X here. X, and this is Y. And here I can say X ampersand Y. So what is this ampersand referring for? It says logical AND. X or Y not equals X not equals Y. Okay, so there is a saying that if it is a logical AND, what should happen? So this logical AND, logical OR, we are supposed to use a data type called as Boolean data type. Okay, so the true and false values. So to store the values of true and false, we should use a data type called as Boolean. Now let's say I'm using true. True, false, and this is also false. Then true, then false, again it is false. Clear? The thing that you need to understand here is for logical AND, it will be true. If there are two truths, if two values are true, then X logical AND Y will be true. Rest false. Okay. Now the two values false. If two values are false, then logical OR. So what's the logical OR symbol? This pipe symbol. Okay. It will be false. Rest it will be true. Hope you remember about the conjunction and disjunctions that you learn in your schooling. Okay. Now, what is not equals? Not equals is nothing but the negation. So, which is opposite. False. So, what will be the value of x? It will be, okay, it will be opposite. So, based on this, can you tell me now what I should get? So, here it is true. Rest, all of them will be false. Because only for logical and it will be true, rest it should be false. Okay, so, here all of them are false. So, if you observe for the logical or, both the values should be false, then only it is false. Rest it should be. Okay. So now come here. What is the opposite value of true? It is false. Okay. So I have to keep something like false. Next true. Then again you'll get false. Next here false. So I'll be getting true. Next here also I'll get. Now here it is false. Opposite of true is false. Then again false. It's true. Then again true. So it will be false. Then again false. It will be true. Okay. So based on this, we are supposed to write the code. Now let's see how we can write a logical operator. How we can write the code for logical operator. Logical operator example. Okay, so can you tell me on how we can write the code for logical operator? Okay, so now first of all, I am supposed to take two values, right? So what are the two values? One is true and one is false. Okay, so try to use with the different concepts. Give one true, give one false, give both of them true, give both of them false, and just try. Okay, then you'll be able to understand. Okay, so right now, how I can do, I'll say, so for the data type, if you want to get the values of true or false, then we are supposed to use the values, we are supposed to use the data type, which is called as a Boolean. Okay, so I'll say Boolean. So Boolean A, true, then Boolean B is equals to false. So how we can write a logic? So println, I can directly say A greater than B, logical, and A greater than C. Okay. So how is this possible? Are we? Is this correct? So true greater than false or false greater than true is not a correct thing, right? So you definitely need some values to identify whether the given value can be. Okay. So when I say x value is given as true and y value is given as false, so do you really think that we need to allocate values like this? No, because see, if true greater than false, so when I give here a greater than b, so true greater than false, does it make any sense? No, right? So for that, we need to allocate the values. So what are the values? Let's say that I'm giving int a value as 10. Okay, and then I'm giving int b value as 5. Okay, so now if I say a greater than b, so what is this? A greater than b is true. Correct. So 10 greater than 5 is true. Then what is the logical? And 10, which is greater than the C value, which I did not give. C value also, let's say that is somewhere around 8. You can give like this. It is 8. So what is the value that you'll be getting? So true, which is greater than, sorry, true, logical, and true. So you'll be getting true as your answer. Let's see what's the value that you'll get. You're getting true. Because when two values are true in the logical AND, you'll be getting it as true. Okay, true, logical AND will be getting. Now, logical AND is done. So how we can write for logical OR? Okay, A greater than B. Let us take logical AND itself and try to fail the condition. Okay, so now what happens? 10 greater than 5 is true. Logical AND 8 is greater than 10 is false. Right? So true, logical and false should give you false. Now run it again. So you'll be getting true and false. Okay, you got true and false. Now let's validate it for OR. System.out.println logical or A greater than C. Now what happens in logical OR? This operator does not check for the second condition if the first condition is true. Okay, it checks for the second condition only if the first condition given is false. Another point, for logical and it will be validating for both the conditions, but when it is coming for logical OR, it will not check for the second condition if the first condition is true. It goes and it checks for the second condition only if the first condition is false. Now let us say 10 greater than 5 is true. Right? So I'm giving logical OR. Then I'll say 10 greater than 8. What is this? This is false. Correct. So what's the value that you'll be getting? True. Correct? Let's see, you have to get true, false, true. Okay, you got this. Now I want false. So system.out.println. Let me say A greater than B. Logical all C greater than A. So now what happens? 10 greater than 5, which is true. Okay, and the logical OR where 10, which is greater than, sorry, C value is 8, right? So C that is greater than 10. So instead here, let me write B greater than A instead of writing A greater than B. B greater than A. Now what happens? False, logical or false. So it reflects as false. Run as Java application. Okay, see, true, false, true, false. Clear? Okay. So this is about logical operator. And you'll also have assignment operators. Okay, so what is assignment operators? Assignment operator is nothing but where you are assigning some values for it. Assignment operators. Always do make sure that whatever the class name that you are trying to give should be related with the program that you are entering inside. And the first letter should be uppercase for the class name and the first letter should be lowercase for the package. Now, what do you mean by assignment operator? Assignment operator is nothing but you are assigning some values for it. Okay. So how you can actually write the code for this assignment operator? Any idea, guys, on how you can write for assignment operator? Okay. Okay, it is the common operator that helps you in assigning the values to the variable. Okay, now let me give you some small hint. Let's say that A value is 5 and B value is somewhere around 16. Okay, so now I'll say A plus equals 4. So what does this reflects? Okay, what it reflects, it says A is equals to A plus equals 4, which means A is equals to A plus 4. A is equals to A plus 4. So what's the current value of A? A value is 5. So 5 plus 4, which is giving you 9. Okay, so what's the current value of A? It will be 9. Now I'll say B minus or equal to 6. Okay, so what it says, it gives me 10. How? B is equals to B minus 6. So what's the current value? 16. So 16 minus 6 gives you 10. So B value will be 10. If you wanted to add, if you want to subtract for A, so similarly, it will be taking the updated value. So A plus 1. A plus equal to 1. And then here B plus equal to 2. Now let's see what are the values that will be printed. Now you have to get A value as, what's the okay, we need to print the values, right? So system.out.println, system.out.println A, so println B. Now let's see. So what happens is in the variable, the updated value will be stored. Okay. So what happened first? What was our value? A value, which is 5. Okay. So then again I said 5 plus 4, which I gave as 9. And then next step, I said 9 plus 1. Okay. Where we got 10. Now next again, I told the current value of B is 16. If you observe here, current value of B is 16. So I said 16 to be printed. Then again I said minus 6. So it will be 10, and then again 10 plus 2, it will be 12. Okay, if you observe, that is what we got. Okay, 10 and 12. This is nothing but an assignment operator. So similarly, we'll be having some another operators also. So we are just done with arithmetic operator, assignment operators, ternary operator, logical operator, and we have something called as a bitwise operator, unary operator, and all. But these operators, whatever the operators that we have discussed, will be that these are more familiar. Okay. So now let's see some different kinds of an operators. The unary operator. Okay, so let me create here itself in the same logical operators. Okay, so for logical operators, what you need to do is you have to give the 2 or symbols. But for bitwise operators, you are supposed to give only 1 symbol. Let's say only this. Okay. A greater than B or A greater than C, something like this. Okay, so what you need to understand, so what is making the difference between the logical or bitwise and bitwise or? Okay, so when I am talking about logical or, it will not check the second condition. When it will not check the second condition, if the first condition is true, it will not check for the second condition. Okay, it checks the second condition only if the first condition or the first thing is false. But when it is coming to bitwise operator, it will always check both the conditions. Whether the first condition may be true or false, it is not required or it is not mandatory. But when I'm giving the bitwise operator, it will check for both the conditions, whether the given first condition is true or it may be false. So now let's say here you have this as a bitwise operator. So what's the value of A? It is 10. So 10 greater than, what is the value of B? B value is 5. And now this is logical or. So then again I'll say 10 and this 10 greater than C, which is 8. Okay, so true and true logical or false. So what's the value that you'll be getting for the bitwise or? You'll be getting it as false. So now let's. So what's the last value that you're getting is now next. So we'll also have this system.out.println statement for us. So system.out.println. Now, so you are done with the bitwise or, right? So now, if you want to do, so how you can write it for the bitwise and A greater than B? Let me give it as only one AND. Okay, if I'm talking about logical AND, then we'll be having 2 ampersands. If I'm saying logical OR, then we'll be having 2 pipe symbols. If I say bitwise AND, you'll be having only 1 ampersand. And if it is only bitwise OR, you'll be having only 1 logical OR. Clear with this? Okay. So now to understand what is bitwise, now what is making the difference between logical and bitwise and so bitwise AND operator will not check for the second condition if the first condition is false. That you already know, right? It will go and it will check for the validate for the second condition only if the first and the given condition is true. Then what happens in the bitwise AND operator? It will check for the both condition. So it will not go and it will not validate whether the given condition is true, then I'm not supposed to check for the second condition. No, it's not like that. So though if the first condition might be true or false, it will go and validate for both the conditions. Now 10 greater than B bitwise and 10 greater than 8. Okay, so now instead of making it as A greater than C, let me give something like this, C greater than A. Okay, so what you should get, this is true, right? And the logical, and now 10 greater than 8. So what is the C value? 8. So I should say 8 greater than 10. So what's the value that we will be getting? False. Correct. So now what's the value that you will be expecting? We should expect false. Clear? See, we are getting false. Okay, this false, true, false. So these are the different kinds of operators. So mostly these are the kinds of operator that we usually discuss. Then we'll be having something called as left shift operator and right shift operator. Okay. So how do you say that is a left shift operator and right shift operator? By giving the number. Okay. Now this is how the left shift operator will be. Okay, it will be something like this, giving 10 less than 2. Okay, so when I say 10 less than 2, what happens? So 10 into, so 2 will be the base. So 2 power 2. Okay, so what you'll be getting? 10 into 4, where you'll be getting it as 40. Okay, so that is how left shift operator works. So now what is right shift operator? So right shift operator, it is used to move to the value of left operand. So it will be something like this. Then right shift operator 2. So when it is right shift operator, we will be dividing it. Okay, so 10 divided by 2 power 2. So how do you give it? 10 divided by 4. Okay, so when I say 10 divided by 4, what will be the remainder that you will be getting? 2. Correct. So because 4 2s are 8. Clear with this? Left shift operator, right shift operator, arithmetic operators, logical operators, bitwise operators, and all. And we also discussed about the ternary operators, assignment operators. Okay, most of all of them are finished. So now let me go